So let's talk about anime and autism. Also, maybe the old anime tourist thing, but I don't know. I knew about anime at first since Quebec is French, so might as well import French dubs. The thing is that due to the popularity of the Akira manga in France, French people began being interested in more manga/animes. So more of this style of comic/animation got localized in French to the point where it's part of the culture. Since Canada does not have the same budget as France for animation, they imported French cartoons, hence why Canada got anime before the US. And even then, one of the first magical girl anime, Minifee, was dubbed in Quebec. Okay, so now that this context is done, here's some Pokemon. I consider Pokemon to be from the same cloth as other shows of the time, due to the varied amount of art styles cartoons had at the time in the 90s/2000s. Rocco's Modern Life did not look like Calimero, that did not look like Sonic Underground, that did not look like Donkey Kong at all.
I shower you with coconut cream pies.
For me, animation was animation, even more when I grew up with so many art styles from many different generations of animation. It's just due to the marketing, Toonami, Bionics, etc. that anime became as popular as its own thing. I'd say the most anime I've watched back in the 90s were the Pokémon/Digimon. That's about it. I'd say the old monster collecting show often represented anime as a whole in America during the 90s/2000s. Monster taming shows definitely have an appeal for autistic people. The creators help me create an aspect of discovery that is unmatched for other types of anime. When I was a kid, I had sometimes hyperfixations on certain animals, so discovering new fictional creatures both help establish the world as well as to make these creatures marketable. Seeing our heroes go on adventures involving these things feels satisfying. Both Pokemon and Digimon tackled it differently. Pokemon is about the competition, being the very best, forming friendships around that, while OG Digimon is about kids forming friendship with their Digimon in a very merciless world, having to deal with the burden of being a Digi-destined. Sure, I'd say the latter tackles the darkest themes, but those shows introduce kids to bigger, most complex ideas. That said, Pokemon got pretty formulaic, so that kids wouldn't need to watch the entire show to know what's going on. Plus, relying on a formula makes the show look like a certain type of comfort food. Since routines are a thing that are part of my autism all the time, no wonder I gravitated towards that show. However, other monster taming shows did not just try copying Pokemon. I haven't watched Metabots in a while, yet it's more of a comedy, which Pokemon tried later. Monster Rancher looks like an isekai, while Digimon, a show based on a Tamagotchi-like toy, went so dang hard. Pokemon tackled a bit of darker themes, which I found interesting. It still ends up being lighthearted in very numerous ways, far more than the manga. I really enjoyed that the morals went beyond the Ed and Eddie get wham, granting a bit more depth, hence why Pokemon could stick out in my brain. Also, that art style. Its depth might seem trivial nowadays, it's just that compared to most 90s cartoons not based on superheroes, it certainly stood out. As for Digimon, things get so much wilder than in Pokemon. Kids get transported to another world where the only way to survive is to cooperate with a bunch of digital monsters. Instead of acting like Ash to become a Pokemon master, these kids just want to go home. You don't want to be in their situation. You'd probably be dead. So you see a lot of scarier topics, you see characters grow. I watched an episode out of boredom at my babysitter's house, and I ended up falling in love with not just the characters characters but with the story. It gives me something that Pokémon often lack, aside from the movie. Digimon is supposed to be a toy commercial. Why does it go so hard? Hey kids, wanna talk about divorce? Time to Digivolution! The kids then later go back to the real world where stuff gets more insane. If you ask me why I vibed with Digimon, I'd say it's the same reason as to why my autism gravitates towards JRPGs or Sonic. Scary elements and cute colorful characters. But the most autistic season of Digimon, aside from the movie, has to be Tamers, easily. In this universe, the other two seasons are fictional, with the main character creating his OC with other people being confused about his hyperfixations. His OC becomes real! And boom, we've got a new Digimon. This is so autistic. It's me as a 10-year-old. Of course the show is written by the same people as Serial Experiments Lane. I haven't watched that, but it explained why I resonated so much with Tamers as a kid. Either way, that caused a bunch of slightly older kids to fall in love with this style. Others already caught on to shows like Dragon Ball, but I didn't until about 2002 with Kirby and Sonic X that definitely helped me explore other kinds of anime. But it wasn't until I got the Pokémon manga and liked it, so I asked for more Pokémon manga, which meant I got the Dragon Ball manga, and God, what an adventure. As a 12-year-old whose experience with adult media belonged mostly to Newgrounds, the Dragon Ball manga sure is one hell of a ride. Yes, it did not feature that much violence, but the amount of adult jokes made Rover Dangerfield look like Teletubbies. I kinda prefer the show on that front. The comedic aspect of Dragon Ball kinda works since it is based on the absurdity of the situations Goku goes through. And also Goku as a character is very entertaining, very idiotic, but tries having an impact on the world around him somehow. The other aspects of Akira Toriyama's other comedy-focused mangas are part of Dragon Ball. At first, the adventure aspect grabs me in as I discovered multiple interesting locations that will stay in my memory forever. Dragon Ball did not much focus on fights too much at the start until the tournament arc happens, so adventure plus absurd humor equals something that sticks in my autism. Dragon Ball Z also has that aspect, although it rather highlights the intense fights. I prefer Dragon Ball due to its adventure. However, Dragon Ball Z often gets compared to figurine fights, with Akira Toriyama mashing them together. I am guilty as charged of playing with figurines, creating stories until high school. And if you ask me, sometimes I didn't have the necessary figurines to create a story, so I'd pretend, for example, that a blue ball would be Sonic. As much as I love Toriyama's art style, he often reuses faces, body types, etc. all of the time. Plus, it's not like he also designed for Chrono Trigger as well as the Dragon Quest games. So Dragon Ball has many similarities to my autism. I enjoyed my time with it. GT replicated that at first, but then had the old baby thing, which I liked, but Battle of Gods got old Dragon Ball's comedic aspects, but mostly had the figurine fights. As for the rest, aside from Resurrection of F, I will talk about it someday, because I haven't watched it. Either way, due to Dragon Ball, I started watching a lot of shonen anime. And Fruits Basket. I'd say Fruits Basket was the only shoujo I read. The thing is that I could relate to some of the shonen protagonists. Not all of them, like Inuyasha knows how to create a likable jerk / level-headed girl duo. But I'm not really enough of an asshole to relate to the demon. Naruto though got isolated from the other kids due to reasons beyond his controls. I could sort of relate to that since I got bullied / isolated from others, mostly at school. So the way Naruto is judged by others is very frustrating. He also sucks at school, but that's also due to his insecurities and blah blah blah. You get why Naruto resonated with me a lot, even more when he deals with all the things caused by his parents. Due to the way he's written, it's more relatable and less of a sad pity party, unlike other shonen protags. Plus, I was new to the genre, so it made the experience much more enjoyable. So I can understand what Kishimoto wanted to do. A big complex story that teenagers could relate to. Kinda like My Hero Academia. No! Maybe later. For 15 seconds. What I'm saying is that a lot of shonen protagonists are isolated from society due to reasons beyond their control, which I could relate to as a teenager. As I grew older, I kinda got tired of shonen anime pointing its finger at the sad, loiny, cis-het white guy hero every 15 seconds. Feel bad about him. We have merch to sell. That might be a bit disappointing, but at least we got a lot of really interesting and unique anime protagonists during the 2000s. It's just that I grew up, so I stopped relating to them. Plus, it's not like actual gays were in the manga/animes I watched. It was also around the time a lot of anime stopped airing on TV, and I stopped being able to access YTV, so no Naruto filler for me. Also, no more Zatch Bell. Okay, so the thing about high school is that it sucked. Yes, I became much more popular later, but video games that weren't about shooting stuff all the time, or anime, got straight up frowned upon. Even if a lot of anime had gory or erotic elements, it wasn't taken as seriously as Family Guy. The 2000s was a time for pointless edge, especially for teenagers. So the anime fans at my school consist of me and 3 guys. Another one hung out with us, but he kept calling us immature for enjoying that and Sonic. I don't get why he hung out with us. If you ask me, the thing that made me enjoy 2000s anime at the time were the D-teams, the adult stuff, blood, etc. It was mostly since during those years especially, the ESRB got very strict on violence, so blood on TV felt refreshing compared to video games restrictions. So family-friendly anime like 4Kids One Piece or Zatch Bell got ignored by my friends. I wasn't the biggest fan at first, but I ended up enjoying them, especially Zatch Bell. Enjoyed the games, it just took a while to understand that beyond the more kid-friendly humor lied an immense amount of depth. This show is about Kyo, a stuck-up teen who suddenly gets gifted a book by a Mamodo, a doll thingy who needs to fight other doll thingies to become the king of Mamodo. Kyo evolves from being a jerk to understanding feelings. Unlike most shonen protags, he's great at school and even smart. It's mostly due to negligence that Kyo became cold-hearted and even lost motivation to go to school. It's Zatch who helps him connect with others. That's surprisingly interesting for a kid's show. Don't worry, because the writing questions the premise as well as the relationships between the Mamodos and their masters. Some people are really terrible, like even compared to in Pokémon, where Pokémon get abused sometimes, but also the same can be said for Mamodos. Zatch Bell combines deeper themes with the very colorful Mamodo characters in a very autistic cocktail. Heck, even Mr. Enter made a video on it. That's how much the show can resonate with autistic people, and I am sorry for underestimating it. Sonic also is for kids, and yet it got a free press from my friends. I don't know, we were teenagers. Either way, no more anime on TV aside from Beyblade and Bakugan. I get why Gen Z loved Bakugan. I even played a couple of Bakugan titles on the DS. I was not the biggest biggest fan at the time, but I might give it another shot later. It was mostly due to the other type of anime that was online. Since anime couldn't appeal to an international audience anymore, might as well try to appeal to hardcore otakus as much as OVAs did. More light novels adaptations got greenlit. Black Rock shooters and other ideas based on Vocaloids also happened. Madoka also subverted magical girl expectations at the end of its third episode, turning it into something completely different. Wait. Black Rock Shooter? Just hearing that name gives me goosebumps. I loved watching the OVA as well as the full thing. I would call Black Rock Shooter baby's first symbolism. It's about girls struggling to understand each other in the real world while their counterparts straight up fight each other. It all tries so hard to be cool, it comes off as pretentious, and I am here for it, the same way I am here for Sonic. The full show also felt like an afterthought, giving it an even more autistic feel, while the OVAs felt a bit more complete. Also, if you're autistic, you cannot tell me that you never imagined a cool sword fight or a dramatic camera angle during some intense moments in real life. Black Rock Shooter is a representation of that, and that is probably why the show represents well my autism. As for other anime, unfortunately I used to be a fan of 𝙍𝙍𝘼 during this era, so I watched a podcast featuring Keroro's voice actor from Sergeant Frog, so I watched Sergeant Frog dubbed on YouTube. The humor caught me off guard. I ended up binging in the same way I watched SpongeBob at 7 AM on weekdays. It's a show about evil alien frogs trying to invade Earth, and failing miserably in the process. You'd think this would be like Invader Zim, but Sergeant Frog came first. I love its more absurd approach to humor, as well as its kinda mean-spirited comedy. You're not supposed to root for anyone but the status quo. The aliens with their distinguished yet marketable design. So of course, my autism gravitated towards it for a while. I love Sergeant Frog, but it was designed for a more general audience, so it never cut in America when it comes to DVDs. DVD-only releases were supposed to be for more hardcore anime first, so it's a bit of a shame that it never got the popularity in the West, nor got to continue its dub past season 3. Other than that, and also something we'll talk about later, I mostly went through older anime due to the Necrotritics video on the weirdest anime. XL Saga has been featured here, while I never talked about FLCL very much. FLCL is a fun mess filled with the stupidest symbolism, big action scenes, and pure absurd humor. The story relies on feelings, with teenagers having a lot of feelings. The punk rock soundtrack embodies these feelings to perfection. I even got a CD. The show is about a 12-year-old who somehow gets smashed by a girl in a Vespa, and now he has a bomb from which giant robots come out. Yeah. That sort of is the premise, and that's not even its wildest moment. Most shows only cram a few themes in their 13-episode run, but FLCL has so much stuff happening all of the time, it's genuinely impressive. They then make up lore out of the blue, since it's fun to make lore up. I mean, have you even seen the Snapcube fan dubs?
You see this? This is the diamond that I'm going to give to my brand new husband and or wife. It'll be theirs for the rest of time with the GameCube too. So if you want...
Whoa, he's bisexual, I didn't know that.
By the way, I'm bisexual. I forgot.
Plus, the art style changes so many times that it becomes impressive. It's a show about growing up, let it be messy. And it's that kind of attitude of going all out all the time that represents 𝙍𝙍𝘼𝙉 and my autism. Let me be cringe while I'm making these videos, damn it, it's fun. The two sequels I've seen don't go all out enough, but I think they're fine in their own right. Although the 𝙍𝙍𝘼𝙉 rights situation got apparently very messy, calling the OG my favorite show ever, beyond any genre, beyond my childhood shows, and beyond future anime. Also, I'd rather watch this than Big Mouth. Bye! It was around that time that an otaku cafe opened. Sword Art Online and Attack on Titan gave a bit of a boom to the anime fandom. We'll talk about Isekai and Sword Art Online soon, don't worry. But all you need to know is that I wasn't the only anime fan offline anymore, which was both a good and a terrible thing for my mental health. At least I got to watch Nichijou. If there needed to exist a comedy that proves that girls are funny, it's this show. Nichijou shares the same energy as other slice-of-life shows from that era, but implements so much slapstick, absurd humor, etc. that it becomes its own unique thing. The budget given to the show also allows these characters to feel alive even in the calmest of moments. I love the jokes, that one cat who talks, the intense atmosphere among other things. Plus, I love shows that turn everyday activities into gigantic events. Since that's basically my life. Oftentimes, just going outside or even accomplishing basic tasks such as cooking and cleaning feel like big adventures that can be fun, but maybe draining too. Nichijou works in that way. Plus, this was during the slice of life era of anime where Lucky Star or Azumanga Daioh came from, so it stood out. Too bad the anime tanked, so I won't see any other season of this show due to an earthquake in Japan that lowered the DVD sales. Yeah! This is a reminder to myself to watch this show the same way I watch Sword Art Online. Hey, here's the thing. A lot of anime can feel comfortable to watch, as many of them reuse tropes to appeal to people who binge anime as if they were blockbuster movies. Stuff like My Hero Academia or Demon Slayer get to be more popular. For some people, that comfort can come in the form of hanging out with multiple girls who are into them, or boys, or whoever. As much as I don't care about that aspect, it felt refreshing to see a protagonist that you don't need to feel bad for every 15 seconds. That's why Sword Art Online stood out. That's why I kinda like Kirito. Overall, Sword Art Online feels a bit bland, hence why I would describe it as comfort food. I like it, but not that much. But it's popular, which means YouTubers will call it the worst thing ever, just like Twilight, even though I know a bunch of people who like Sword Art Online in real life. The same way I know people who like Twilight in real life. Also, I have many criticisms. Also, I like the Abridged series until after Ironclad, where the spacing slows down to insert too many jokes rather than do, abridge the series. It reminds me of some other Abridged series that just go on and are kinda long. Oh well, due to Sword Art Online, we got a bunch of shows sharing the same kind of escapism that developed into isekais, which are mostly comfort food for anime watchers. Hence why they're so popular and similar to each other, so it creates an uncomfortable routine where you expect all of them to be the same. A routine? Autism? If I have a craving for an isekai, I will watch one, realize there's no season 2, so I'll move on to the next one, until I get tired or something. After a while, I get somewhat tired of isekais, but they can be fun to watch or read. Mostly. I often watch them due to someone who only watched isekais, but I get the appeal. Also, I'm scared of anime fans, but more on that later. So when someone has the audacity to make a gay isekai, all hell breaks loose. As for me, I prefer the more out there anime, as after the success of One Punch Man and My Hero Academia, anime was back-ish. The otaku cafe I went to expanded so I could talk about anime more than to my high school friends as well as my siblings' friends. One Punch Man came out at the perfect time, as I got tired of the standard shonen shows, so the comedy mixed with the action felt like a fun show to watch. The joke is that the main character is overpowered, so when I heard about Mob Psycho 100, I thought it was the same thing but for supernatural. It couldn't be farther from the truth. Mob is a teenager. A socially awkward one. A very socially awkward one. Oh my god, is that me as a teenager? Oh god, he doesn't feel his emotions until he gets to 100%. Similar to my autumn. Every single bad event accumulates only to end up being a meltdown. Similar to my autumn. You get it. And with his outstanding powers, this isn't just a comedy. So many ideas and characters develop beyond the mob is overpowered factor. This show goes so wild using the premise as a starting point, it reminds me why I love anime. Autism, probably. That one guy who made me watch isekais hated the opening of Mob Psycho 100. Which, while overstimulating, I don't know, there's something autistic about it. Which explains a lot about some anime fans. So the thing about a lot of the anime fandom is that as much as anime has plenty of lessons about acceptance and understanding of other people, and to treat people who are different well, since barely any other minorities or even just autistic people show up in them, those morals flew straight up over their heads, which means they're normalized making me the butt of the joke all the time and calling me slurs. And the anime YouTubers encourage that too. Even other autistic people who, just because I was gay, thought they could use gay as a slur. That would make sense if these peoples were teenagers, but no, these are responsible adults. The 2010s were wild. Either way, let's move on to the 2020s and finish this video. I watched a couple of shows like Beastars or maybe Bocchi the Rock. Although they got autistic coded characters, I still go to that otaku cafe to watch anime from time to time. It's just that I read manga before bedtime instead of watching shows. And even then, I watch some OVAs from time to time, such as the Horny Dog show. But nothing hits me as much as reading Yuru can. Oftentimes when I go out, it's by myself. No guarantee that any of my friends will be there. All that can be guaranteed is that I'll probably have fun. Yuru Camp's Rin Shima represents that perfectly. No desire to connect or meet with anyone, just the desire to vibe by herself. Camping for her is not just an escape from reality, it's an obsession. Even when other friends from school hang out with her, it's a result of coincidences rather than anything planned. She learns to share her passion with others eventually, but that feels very close to what happens when I go out. Camping is also a very specific hobby. I went camping once in 2008 with my DS and Mario Party DS in my hand. It sucked. Yuru Chem still has multiple aspects that reminds me of my autism. The various nuances of camping, the prices, the recipes, the wood, etc. All of that gets explained in the most specific details in 13 volumes. I feel like a few of the other mangas that are that specific about very niche stuff are Night of the Living Cat, which I already discussed, or Hachiko and Maruru, Cat Companions, which got written with the help of a veterinarian. But that's all for now. I like mangas, I like anime, I like my autism. Thank you for watching, please like and subscribe, and bye!